Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
Chicago Bears head coach Ben Johnson just fired back at his former Detroit Lions players. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. First and foremost, Bears fans, happy Friday to every single one of you guys. And furthermore, happy game day to all the Chicago Bears fans out there. The Chicago Bears are slated to have their final preseason game against the Kansas City Chiefs tonight. And I believe it's going to be on TV once again. And the expectation from head coach Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears is that the Bears starters, that includes Caleb Williams, and the rest of the starters will play for a little bit in tonight's final preseason game against the Chiefs. So before I go any further with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, engage with me down below in the comment section and let me know what you are expecting, or at least what your expectations are from Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears starters in this final preseason matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think my expectations as a Bears fan is for Caleb Williams to build on the performance, or at least a couple of drives that he had against the Buffalo Bills, where he looked really calm and comfortable, really quick delivery, playing within time, playing within the offense, playing within rhythm, just looked really comfortable. So I'm just hoping that he builds from that performance against the Buffalo Bills. But let me know down below what your expectations are from Caleb Williams and the starting offense tonight. So Bears fans, on this lovely Friday, on this lovely Chicago Bears game day, I wanted to bring you just a quick laugh on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. As we all know, Kay Adams kind of goes around from training camp to training camp on her very own podcast, where she interviews players and coaches. She stopped by the Detroit Lions training camp, and she got to talk to Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs and Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. And she just straight up asked them about, you know, how they liked what Ben Johnson's doing over there in Chicago, and their reactions to Caleb Williams, first drive or a couple drives against the Buffalo Bills, where he led a 92-yard touchdown drive on his very first drive of the preseason. And obviously, Amon-Ra said, hey, it looked really good. Hopefully they don't do that against us during the week 2 matchup when we play them at Ford Field. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, kind of fired at Ben Johnson a little bit, and I'm pretty sure it's just a little bit friendly banter, since that's their old offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, but just a little bit of friendly banter where he was just like, it looked like a lot of the stuff that, we ran here in Detroit, basically saying didn't look like it was anything special. So I believe next day or the next couple of days, Kay Adams went to the Chicago Bears training camp, and she had the opportunity to interview new Bears head coach Ben Johnson, and she relayed that information, right, to what Jahmyr Gibbs had to say about the Chicago Bears offense against the Buffalo Bills. And Ben Johnson actually kind of fired back at Jahmyr Gibbs. And to me, it was absolutely hilarious. It shows the intensity that Ben Johnson brings. He has no problem whatsoever at firing back at anybody, even his former players over there in Detroit. So Bears fans, what I'm going to do is share that quick little clip, not only of what Jahmyr Gibbs had to say with Kay Adams, but how Ben Johnson responded when Kay Adams brought it up in their interview just the other day. Check this out, Bears fans.
What's your takeaway?
I mean, it looked good. It looked good.
It's
funny watching the same plays like we ran. Work. It's funny.
Same plays.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down to that away. But yeah, right now, this is the same game plan in preseason that I've done for the past 4 years. So the plays should probably look the same. We just dusted off an old one, and the guys are going out there and executing them at a high level right now. So that's kind of the plan for the preseason. Once we get into the season, we'll have a little bit more fun.
So once again, Bears fans, I absolutely love this from the new Chicago Bears head coach and Ben Johnson. He just said very calmly with a smile, it's like, hey, this is the same plays I've been running for in preseason for the last 4 years. So yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, it should look very similar. And to me, the message that I took out of that he was sending not only to Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown, but the rest of the National Football League is that, yeah, it looks the same right now, but you haven't seen anything yet. he has made it clear time and time again that the offense that you've seen with the Detroit Lions is going to be completely different than the one you're going to see here in Chicago. And you know the reason why he said that? Because it's different personnel. You're talking about different types of quarterbacks in Jared Goff and Caleb Williams. You're talking about a pocket quarterback in Jared Goff with the more athletic mobile quarterback in Caleb Williams. You're talking about having a two-headed monster at tight end in Colson Loveland and Cole Kmet. You're talking about the running backs that we have as well, even though Detroit has Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And then, of course, the receiving core with Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, right? DJ Moore. The personnel is really completely different, and it really opens up the horizon for Ben Johnson to call a masterclass here in Chicago. So that definitely gets me pumped up as a Bears fan. And, you know, the hope is that Caleb Williams takes the next step under Ben Johnson in year 2. The hope is that we can finally have a capable, high-scoring offense, maybe hopefully even a top 10 offense under the Ben Johnson era here in Chicago. But once again, have to love the response from your head coach. Just a very fiery, competitive, intense guy. And if someone is going to call him out, you are damn sure that you're going to get a fire response back from head coach Ben Johnson. So let me know down below in the comment section how you felt about not only what Jahmyr Gibbs had to say, but also how Ben Johnson responded to what Jahmyr Gibbs had to say in regard to the Chicago Bears running the same plays during the preseason. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. So Bears fans, before I let you guys go on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, there's another quick funny update that I wanted to share with you guys, and it's kind of going back to the Miami Dolphins joint practice. And of course, the Chicago Bears absolutely dominated the joint practice. Of course, you know, the game ended up in a tie, but during the joint practices, when we were going starters for starters on both ends of the football, especially on the defense side of the football, the Chicago Bears were absolutely dominating. And there was even some Miami Dolphins reporters out there saying that they were a little bit displeased on how physical the Chicago Bears actually were during joint practice. And that now stems from Dolphins offensive lineman Aaron Brewer. He also wasn't happy with how physical the Bears were during their joint practice just a couple of weeks ago. This is what he had to say, Bears fans. He says, that first joint practice with Chicago, I feel like that was some BS. They were out there attacking it and this and that. So, you know, that fake physicality, they out there playing tackle football and everybody else was out there playing 7-on-7. It's fake physicality. And we kind of seen that when we went out there and played in a real game. So he says that the Bears were showcasing fake physicality, even though when we're talking about, you know, in joint practices, when we're going starters for starters, especially when you're talking about the Chicago Bears defense, they absolutely got after Tua and the Miami Dolphins starting offense. And here is how I look at it. Are the Chicago Bears being too physical in practice, or are the Miami Dolphins being too soft? It also cracks me up when he says, hey, we saw that they were showcasing that fake physicality when we got to the real game. I want to make it very clear to not only Miami Dolphins reporters, but even Aaron Brewer, right? Our starters didn't play in that first game against the Miami Dolphins. So you tied with our backups. Of course, Tua and a couple of the starting offensive players from Miami Dolphins got a little bit of action, but you tied with our backups. And it just cracks me up because you're in the National Football League. You're playing a grown man sport, a very physical sport. So to call out the Chicago Bears saying that they were showcasing fake physicality when we got to the real game and they were basically going too hard, you know, in the 7-on-7s, that is the culture of the Chicago Bears. That is the culture that Ben Johnson, that he's creating here in Chicago. You are going to practice how you are going to play. And I absolutely love it. I absolutely love that the Miami Dolphins reporters were getting disgruntled about it, that Miami Dolphins players were getting disgruntled about it. And hopefully that sends a clear message out to the rest of the National Football League as well, is that every time you have to face the Chicago Bears, it is going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a dogfight. Ben Johnson is going to have his guys ready, whether it's practice, whether it's the game. It does not matter. They are going to play with a certain level of intensity, and that is the new expectation of the Chicago Bears. So, Bears fans, let me know down below in the comment section how you feel about now Miami Dolphins players calling out the fake physicality that the Chicago Bears showcased in their preseason game just a couple of weeks ago. But other than that, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears that you know. The other than that, back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on